How's it going? And welcome to Inside the Z, the Zachary Football Podcast. My name is Scott Pellegrin, Coach Pell. And on today's episode, we have our player interview, our coach's spotlight, and story time with Coach Brew. Joining us for all the fun, we have offensive lineman Captain Braden White, Coach Chandler Whitfield, and the man himself, Coach Brew. Our player interview of the week, we have our fourth captain, Braden White, offensive lineman. How's it going, man?
It's going good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm really happy to have you here and really happy that you're able to take the time. I know it's been a long day. We had practice this morning, meetings after school, full school day. So really means a lot. And when we started this show, we started with the captains for our player interviews. We did Bethley first and then Brooks, then Hogan, and now with you. So, I've kind of been asking them very, very similar questions. So what is it like to be considered one of the leaders of the team as voted on by your peers?
It feels good, to have played under my captains in my sophomore and my junior year, to kind of be seen as in the same light as I seen them.
Mm-hmm.
How they guided me through what was wrong, what was right, and basically just how to be a better football player.
So how would you consider your leadership style? Because I know Hogan told me, he said he's more loud and he'll try to, encourage guys and do some things like that. Bethley's kind of a coach out there. What's more your style?
I kind of want to make my actions speak for themselves. So maybe if I don't necessarily tell somebody, but the young guys, and they've actually come up to me and said this, if they see me doing something right or doing a drill right or just doing right things in general, they'll try to copy it and try to do it for themselves.
Absolutely. More of a lead by example,
Yes, sir.
And that's big in leadership, man, being able to lead by example, because it's not always about what you say, it's about how you conduct yourself and what you do. Oh, man, talk to me about what it's like being on the O-line, because, in our world, in the coaching world, you hear a lot of guys, they're always looking for ways to incentivize being on the O-line and encourage guys. Because if you're on the defensive line, big sacks, big tackles, get your name in the paper, that kind of thing. Being on the O-line is kind of anonymous. Is that something y'all embrace?
Yeah, sir. That's something that Coach Davis has instilled with us. And we kind of instill, I like O-line because it's a strong group more than other positions, I'd say. So I gotta depend highly on them. I know if I mess up, they're depending on me. So I kind of that's one of the things I like about it.
Yeah, it's largely an anonymous position. Me and Hogan had the same conversation about the defensive backfield. It's like O-line and DBs are two of the things where if one person messes up, it looks like everybody messed up. So definitely, and it's good to see you take a lot of pride in that. So, how long have you been a starter?
I'd say I played maybe 5 to 6 games my sophomore year, and then started junior year and started this year. So I'd say 2.5 maybe.
So talk to me about carrying on the legacy of Zachary and trying to hang another banner, because you would have been a sophomore on that 23 runner-up team. And how does that motivate you, that finish of that season going forward in your senior year?
It motivates me because I've seen how hard those guys worked and how close they got. And I've grown up in Zachary, so I've always came to the games, So I've been to the state championship when they won them, and I've been to playoff games when they won them, so I'm trying to recreate that in my senior year. I just hope we can have a good season this year and finally bring home a state championship, because I've been playing for Zachary my whole life, so that's the only thing I haven't accomplished yet.
It's going to take a strong offensive line to do that, man. Braden, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our coaches spotlight this week, we have receivers coach, Zachary grad, Southern University alum, and future Hall of Famer, maybe, Chandler Whitfield. Hopefully so. So, man, happy you made the time. I know we had a long day today, but, man, happy for you to be here, man.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. So, so our theme this week and when we interview Coach Brew in a little while, our over shadowing theme this week is going to be some of the best players in program history. And, you know, that's going to have to be a multi-part deal because
that's a lot.
You know, we only hit 30 to 45 minutes on this thing, start to finish, and we would hit, 6 hours talking about all of them.
Yes.
So talk to me about some of the greats you played with.
Oh man. First and foremost, we just had one that just went into the Hall of Fame, actually. Wes Brady.
Yep.
Man, Wes, I had to put Wes at one. Wes was a two-time captain for our team as a junior, was a 3-year starter for us. And man, and the crazy thing was with Wes, man, we played when we was younger with each other. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that group where I came up with, like, man, you talking about Wes Brady, Keelan Brown, Caleb Jackson, Trey Shropshire, Sharon White. Like, man, it's a lot of, like, Tyler Judson.
Did all of those guys come to high school here?
Yes.
So y'all played through the youth leagues into high school?
Yes, sir.
Dang.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. So we all, like, how the elite and stuff is now, like, that's how, but we was brought up since 8.
Yeah.
So then we kind of just came up all together and played with each other and stuff like that. So when we got here, it just kicked off. It just was times 10. But Wes Brady for sure. Wes Brady for sure. If I just had to put a great out there that I played with actually on the field with, Wes Brady and Keelan Brown for sure.
What was your graduating year?
2019.
2019. So you were on the 17 and 18 title teams.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So talk to me about a little bit about those teams. We're going to hit the big story on those hopefully later in the year when we're making a playoff run. Yeah. I was trying to save the good stuff for then, but talk to me a little bit about those teams and I watched the 18 game in person against West Monroe. Chris Hilton takes a screen pass to the house, but I believe you scored a touchdown in one or both of those games, correct?
Yes, sir.
So walk me through what is it like and this being a community school district, obviously everybody lives here in town in Zachary. There's Broncos and Columbia blue everywhere. What's it like to actually go walk on the carpet in the Superdome and represent?
Honestly, and this is not to be cocky or nothing, but that 2015 class that started that made you feel like when you stepped in there, you belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of like a standard, kind of like we're not shocked to be here, because we know the people that played before us and the standard that they created, and we just kind of fell in line, because when Coach Brew kind of got here, that 2015 class, he didn't get to mold them kind of, he only had them for like 2 years. But I feel like my class, that was the first class that he actually molded to like what he wanted.
Start to finish.
From us being through 9th grade to 12th grade. So when you walked in there, man, it just felt like you belong. And we're not leaving here without a dub, no matter who here. And you got to get that credit to Coach Brew. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that he came through and he implemented within this team and this program and the way how this community fell behind him, it was like the perfect story to happen, And, man, when I tell you, when you step out on that field and the respect that you see the other team give you kind of when you step out there, it's just, it amazed me, So, but definitely, we felt like we belonged every time we stepped out there.
So, is there an intimidation factor you think with other teams when they see the Z?
Definitely now for sure. It's like I say, it's a respect thing, and I feel like you don't have no choice but to respect because of what we done kind of did over here,
Oh, absolutely, and I've coached on some teams where it seemed like the kids respected the logo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I remember specifically, I won't name the school, but I was at a school. We played a really good team out of New Orleans. We played Brother Martin. They were going to make a run in the private school side, the select side, and they ended up, I think, going quarters, maybe semis. Anyway, long story short, we played a great game. We ended up losing, but we played a game where we weren't intimidated by the talent and the squad that they had because it's like there was no hype because we were in Baton Rouge, there in New Orleans, that they just didn't know. But
Right.
you know, I find sometimes when you're on teams, you play local schools that have that standard and that pedigree and those things, and it's, you know, it's kind of, you gotta fight as a coach to not lose the mental game going into it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sir.
So talk to me a little bit about, like, you know, going to Southern after you finished here. Was that your first choice? Did you have a lot of offers? Did that, you know, what was that process like for you?
A lot of people don't even know this, honestly, but when I was in high school, that was the first place I wanted to go.
Really?
I promise you. That was the first place that I wanted to go. But they didn't show no effort, kind of. So I was kind of just like, I don't really know what to do. So I went to ULM. So went to ULM. I think we went 0-12. And I was just like, I can't do this. So that's when the transfer portal had just kind of got open a little bit. So I took advantage of that. And then right when I got in there, I made calls and, you know, they wanted me to then. So it was just a perfect storm and I came over. So me going to Southern, that was what I always wanted to do. Like I always wanted to do, just coming through like high school, and nobody knew that. So when I got there, I guess like the love that I had for the school, like it kind of made me, it reminded me that the tradition kind of reminded me of Zachary, kind of, you know, just what Coach Brew was building over here, same thing over there, the community, everything like that is just the fan base here, you know, it kind of all is the same, you know, so I felt like I was at home.
Did you play for Coach Rollins?
Yes, I did.
So Rollins told me, and I didn't know this about Southern until he said it. I know that, you know, their community so strong for that school. It's almost like a high school kind of love that they have for it.
Yes, sir.
And he said, man, the old men would always hang out around practice. Coach, we with you. Win or tie.
Yep.
Win or tie. Yep. Not lose. Win or tie. We with you.
Not lose, Don. If you losing,
ain't no losing.
But yeah, bro, at practice, man, like they have people really setting up chairs, watching us practice. And while you out there, that's kind of like an invisible hand kind of pushing you. Like, bro, it's bigger than what you think it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like these people been watching us practice for years, watching, no telling what type of talent they done seen out here.
They're invested in your success.
They invested, and it doesn't cost them nothing.
Right.
So that just makes you feel so grateful for them. Them people probably had jobs, just got off work, tired, got a family at home, and they outside watching us practice.
Yeah.
Like when you put it in that perspective, it's like, wow, bro. Like, and I'm crying about being tired at practice.
Right.
When I got these people sitting over here.
How many years you started over there? Was it right away you got on the field?
3 years.
Okay, so you got on the field right away.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you are back at home. First coaching job.
Yes, sir.
First real job, probably.
First real job.
Yeah.
First real job.
After you graduated college, what drew you to coaching?
Man, I never had aspirations of coaching. Little do you know, but you know, I was training on the side, kind of. You know, I was training before. Literally, I was training before the season of my senior season started. So I was just like, what hobbies can I do that kind of fit in with what I'm doing, and I can also kind of benefit from it at the same time. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna train. So I put it out there, and people was coming. So my dad, you know, he was the first person that was like, man, like, you know, like, have you ever considered coaching? I was like, no. And then my friends started saying it, and then my friends, my families, my grandma, mom, like, they was all putting it in my ear, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. So then I graduated, and I got a degree in agriculture, plant and soil sciences. So I was trying to do something with that, but that didn't fall through. And you know how it is, trying to get a job is not the easiest thing to do. So
you gotta know people.
You gotta know people.
You gotta have connections and contacts.
Yes. So when that happened, nothing was happening, and I was trying, kind of got down on myself a little bit. And then Coach Brew told my cousin, like, because I got 2 little girl cousins that go here. And he told her, tell Chandler, I said, come see me. So I was like, okay. Like, just thinking Coach Brew just talked. I was like, man, I'm going to go up there. But I actually went up here. And when I came up here, he the one who was like, hey, you know, like, what you think about coaching? So I was like, wow, like full circle moment. Like, so I was like, wow, everybody's saying this, and like this just popped up. I ain't even asked for it. So I felt like it was God kind of putting this in my path, kind of, because I've been training before. So it's like I feel like that was the practice.
Then when you say training, you talking about training people to play ball.
Training receivers.
Yeah.
So, and now I feel like that was my training. I was training myself for this moment. So I feel like it was just a full circle moment that happened with that. And then Coach Brew come tell me, you know, coming about being a receiver coach here. So I was like, wow, like, you know, what sign is bigger than this, you know? So
what's the transition like? I mean, do you find yourself still sometimes thinking player mode versus coach mode?
Yeah. And that's what kind of be hard. But at the same time, it is kind of soothing a little bit too, because the times that we put in is what I'm used to. You know, kind of waking up early in the morning, lifting weights.
Because college football was a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lifting weights early in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. We waking up around that time. Like, it's kind of like it was the best job for me. And it's kind of like I grew to love it now.
Yep.
Like, I really enjoy it now.
Yeah. I had a guy tell me when I first got in, he said, why I still do it, or why I started doing this is not why I still do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it took me a while to get there, and it takes a lot of people, because you kind of get in it because, like, a lot of I miss competing and I miss the game or out whatever, and it's like you started doing it for that reason, then you start seeing the relationships with the kids, the relationships in the office, and kind of the amount of fun it can be while still putting in all these hours.
Right.
You know, because I'll tell you this, you know, I ain't gonna say old coach, but, you know, a little bit of experience.
Yeah, man, you ain't old.
And a little bit of experience, but, you know, it if you don't like the people you do it with, and you don't like the kids you're serving and the place you do it, then it's not worth it. You know what I mean? But when you find a place that you could really sink your teeth into, man, it's rewarding and it's a lot of fun, and you get way more out of it than just a paycheck.
Exactly. And that's why I kind of think I'm at with it. Like, man, sometimes I be questioning myself, like, am I at work? Like, like waking up every day, because it's like, I know I see other people and they be like, man, I got to go to work. And they be kind of just,
I gotta go.
But it's be like, man, when I'm here, I don't feel like I'm at work. And I be like, dang, like, am I taking my job serious enough? Like, because I'm like, man, I don't feel like I'm at work. But people that I done told that to, they like, man, that's a great thing that you feel like that. Because, man, that's something that you enjoy doing. You know? So, yeah, man, like, it's just, everything is a blessing right now.
And I'm gonna let you get. I just got one more thing I want to ask you. You know, I asked all the seniors this that I've had on so far, and you qualify because you're a Zachary guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we have a lot of people on this staff who you know, were here in the before times, the before Brew, and are still here. You know, or the couple of guys that came with Coach Brew. You know, so they've seen kind of how things have changed. So you being, you know, a Zachary guy, you know, how do you try to convey to the players and the kids that standard, that expectation, you know, and what is this place supposed to be, and what does this place want to get back to, being somebody who saw it firsthand? You know what I mean? So how do you try to convey that to the players?
I basically tell them, like, man, some people, I tell them to go look at the Lindsey Scotts, Keelan Brown, you know, the big
two
name
great players, by the way.
Two great, amazing players. The Keelan Browns, Lindsey Scotts, Doug Coleman, Chris Hilton's, the Wes Brady's, all that, man. The one thing that mattered the most, and they was all on the same page, they wanted to win. They wanted to win. And I feel like sometimes some people don't be all on the same page. Yeah. You know, whether that's accountability, sacrificing, they're not comfortable with sacrificing, they're not comfortable with holding with other people accountable. But little do they know, that shows that I care for you, I love you, and I want what's best for you. Right? So I feel like that kind of gets misscrewed a little bit. But little do you know, your teammate is doing it because he want to win.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like that just fall back out to the basic, man. Just holding each other accountable and don't be scared to call nobody out when they're wrong, right or wrong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I seen the teams, the 15 team do it the most. Like, man, when I tell you they held each other accountable to a whole different type of standard, it probably got to a point where fists went to blows. Like, you know, like people got to fighting and everything. So, but sometimes it get like that, you know? But at the end of the day, the main thing is the main thing. And that's, you know, playing in December.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Man, Coach Whitfield, man, I'm a rookie over here. You know, we rookies on the staff, but you're not exactly rookie. But man, it's been good getting to know you, and I'm happy you took the time today. This was a great conversation, man. I really think a lot of people out there are gonna like it and enjoy it. And man, we got to do this again sometime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We definitely got to do it. Coach.
All right, Coach Whitfield, appreciate you, man.
Story time with Coach Brew, continuing here on the Inside the ZU Zachary Football Podcast, our main event each week. Coach Brew, thank you again for the time, as always.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
So, you know, we just had Whitfield in here, and he's obviously one of the greats that have come through here in 12 years. And he named some of his favorite players, favorite teammates, some of the best guys that have come through here and he's looked up to. So we're going to continue with that theme, and I mean, we could do a 10-part series on some of the best guys that have played ball here. But today, I would like to hit on a few of them. I mean, Coach, we've had, obviously you probably named more than me, but I just know guys we played against. Right. Like guys like Lindsey Scott, Chris Hilton, and Keelan Brown, and I mean, Eli Holstein, the list goes on and on and on. Right. So just kind of talking about some of the talented guys that have come through.
Wow. Ooh. Man, I have just been super blessed, man, to have some guys come through this place that were incredible football players for our program. You know, guys that don't get mentioned a whole bunch, you know, your program type players, those guys, people ask me all the time, what's the secret, what's the recipe, whatever. I mean, I think at the 5A level, due to numbers, you're always probably going to have a couple of hammers on each of your team, right? But those program guys, the ones who are just above average football players, that play themselves into being good football players, I think that's what wins you championships. I really do. It's just such a big part of that whole thing. But some of the guys that have come through here, you know, right off the bat, when we took the job back in the spring of 14, going through that first spring practice and watching us play, you know, obviously Lindsey Scott is the first one that kind of pops out at that time. Was you know, Lindsey was such a talented football player. When I talk about Lindsey, you know, some of the biggest things about Lindsey, man, like we would go through first half football game, and you know how when we come to halftime, I meet with all the coaches first, and then I walk into the locker room. Well, when I walk in the locker room, usually it's going to be either a subdued conversation that I'm going to have with the players, or it's not going to be a subdued conversation, right? Lindsey was already talking to the guys in the locker room every week when I would get over there, and he had such a pulse of what I wanted from the program, and he had such a pulse of what was going on during the game. If I was going to hammer the guys, he was already hammering. If I was going to go in and kind of calm the troops down a little bit, he was already calm. He had such a coach's mindset. As a player, he was like having another coordinator on the field. You know, he would come off the field after a couple series. He would talk to Coach Langlois and I and say, hey, listen, probably in the third quarter, we need to take a look at this, and this, because the way they're setting it up, and the way that. But he was amazing. He really was, as far as his football IQ was concerned. So his will to win was unbelievable. And certainly I was glad to see him lead our team to a state championship in 15. But that first group that we had here, it had just several guys on that team that were super good football players. Doug Coleman was an all-state wide receiver for us. Led the state in all 5 classifications in catches and receiving yards.
Wow.
His senior year, yeah. Went on to play safety at Texas Tech, and then had a cup of coffee in the NFL as well. So he was tremendous. We had a defensive back, PJ Cannon, who was a 2-sport athlete, football guy and a baseball guy, and I can just remember the announcer in our home stadium, and how many times he said, Cannon. I mean, all the time, just with the number of interceptions, number of tackles, and the guy was just an amazing ball player back there. I know I'm very brief talking about some of these guys, but there's so many. I mean, there's so many just absolute amazing football players. The year. The 14 year when we really kicked it into overdrive was when we took a kid named Kelton Hollis. He was an offensive guard. Of course, we moved to center halfway through the season, and our offense just exploded.
Really?
He went on to be a 3-year starter at TCU. Just a really, really good football player and a guy on the offensive line who anchored it for those 2 years, 14 and 15.
And I want to jump in real quick about Lindsey Scott. So he bounced around a little bit in college, but eventually at Incarnate Word, me and Langlois were actually having this conversation. At Incarnate Word ended up leading the nation, all sorts of stats. He won the FCS Heisman. I don't know what they call it, but I mean, best player in the country for a while.
Right.
And how often are the guys who are considered the best players on the team? From a physical standpoint, like a Lindsey Scott or like a Coleman, those guys, how often does their intelligence match what their play is? Like you said, he had a pulse of what the coaches wanted. He kind of knew what you were going to say before you said it or how to make adjustments.
Yeah. Sometimes that marriage is not there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like most of the time when you've got such a prolific athlete like that in high school, they've probably been really good at everything they've ever tried to do athletically since they were a young kid. And so I don't want to say their work ethic is bad, but they've just always been better than everybody else. Yeah. Right. So the other part to this whole thing, the mental part, maybe was lacking coming in, not from a smart standpoint, but from just the mental toughness standpoint of having to grind. Right. You're talking about that kind of stuff. The kid Doug Coleman that I just talked about. After our first season here, he was a junior, January 1st, right? So our season ends in the semifinals. A month later, January 1st, I'm duck hunting at a duck lease that I have, me and a partner of mine. And it's snowing outside. So I'm just enjoying my time, trying to shoot a few birds while the snow's happening. In Louisiana, you don't get to hunt the snow very often. So I'm really enjoying this. And my phone starts ringing. And I look down at my phone. It's our athletic director, Jesse Fusar. He's calling me. I'll call him later on, but it's fine. And he calls me again. And I'll call him later on. So he called me a third time. I looked at the guy I was hunting with. I said, well, the AD is now calling for the third time in 5 minutes. I guess I probably need to take this phone call, right? So I said, hello. And he says, Coach, you have a second? I said, sure. What's up, man? He goes, listen. We're on vacation right now. We're on Christmas break. Look, our school's supposed to be locked up during vacation time. There's a kid out on the field that's doing some training right now, pulling sleds and stuff. I'm sure he's a college athlete somewhere, but we can't just let people in our stadium whenever. It's got to be a closed deal, and this is not good. There could be some problems. This, that. He just kept on and on and on.
Reading you the riot act.
Right, and I said, was he a football guy? I don't know. Maybe he went to school here a couple of years ago. I have no idea. But we can't have this, Coach. You can't just come in on and on. I said, hey, man, I'll ride back by the school on my way in town and see what's going on. I apologize. So I hang up. 2 minutes later, phone's ringing. It's the AD again. So he's the AD and baseball coach. Doug Coleman was a football and baseball player. So I looked at it and said, good, he's called me back. I said, oh, he goes, scratch everything I just said. Doug Coleman is by himself on the field in the snow, pulling sleds right now, training. Scratch everything I said. I'm perfectly fine with him being out there. I said, yeah, I'm sure you are, But you're talking about a prolific athlete who had a great work ethic as well, and that's just a little story.
And then baseball players or the coaches are very protective of players. And I just want to say this, and nobody knows. There are people that Broussard. That was very Broussard-esque. Reading the head coach of the Riot Act over something. Coach, I'll look at it. Sorry.
Right.
But
that's funny.
When you got the players who match the work ethic. Last week when we had Langwell, he kind of hit on some quarterbacks. You mentioned Lindsey. Keelan played Memphis.
Sure.
And then Holstein more recently. Talk a little bit about the quarterback now.
Yeah, that was kind of the next thing I was going to touch on. We've just been so unbelievably lucky here with the run quarterbacks that we had. Lindsey was a 2-year starter for us with a two-time All-State quarterback and a state champion. Keelan Brown was a 4-year starter after Lindsey. Multiple times All-State, multiple time. Pretty good run. He had 2 state titles and 2 semifinal appearances as a starting quarterback here, right? And then when he finished up, Eli Holstein, was the quarterback after him for 3 years, right? So we went 2-4-3 with Lindsey Scott, Keelan Brown, and Eli Holstein. Pretty good run right there, right? And the quarterbacks we've had after them were pretty good too. They just didn't have the name recognition of those 3 guys, right? Hudson Spangler, we're in the state championship game with Hudson there. Caleb Gonzalez was the quarterback after him. He did a really, really good job for us playing college ball in Kentucky State. And now Michael Kirby is our starter, playing pretty well for us right now. So, we've had a pretty good deal as far as our quarterbacks are concerned. Watching them, it's a little bit different than your prototypical star quarterback situations, right? Like they weren't all 3 of those guys that I talked about. They were never those kinds of guys that just kind of carried themselves in a way that they weren't approachable or anything like that. That wasn't the case at all. All 3 of those guys were really good team guys.
Not a lot of arrogance.
Right. I mean, it was. You could tell that all 3 of them just really appreciated being a part of the program and enjoyed, putting up the numbers that they were putting up and having the success we were as a team. So we were very lucky to have a great run for a long time.
So, kind of wrapping it up here, and like I said, we can go on. I think part 2 probably should be receivers. Whenever we get to part 2,
Right.
they did some pretty good ones there too.
Yeah.
You're probably right. But the last thing I want to touch on, depth. I forget who I was having this conversation with the other day, and you talked about kind of people want to know what the secret sauce is that wins titles. You probably get asked that 100 times a day,
right?
When you talk to people from the outside. So, and an observation from me, being a coach and everything, it's not just here; it's other places that traditionally win. Depth is super important. I mean, let's take 5 there. You got 22 starters, but realistically, the really good teams that are in upper echelon every year probably got 30 guys that can step out of the field at any given time, maybe more. Or you go to a lower classification, 1 or 2A, where a lot of guys have to play both ways. But if you have less guys that have to play 2 ways, you're fresher at the end of the game. So just talk about the depth, because I feel like we have depth. What's your opinion on that? Do you feel like we have 30 or 35 guys that could realistically start for our team?
Right. Well, depth, but more importantly, quality depth.
Right.
Guys that you feel pretty confident with. If and when that situation came up, they're able to go in there and do what they got to do to help the football team. I watched or listened to the great Don Chowles, multiple time state champion from West Monroe, national champion coach from West Monroe. I listened to him talk at a coaches clinic early on in my coaching career. And he said 2 things that really struck a nerve with me as a young coach. And he said, I don't care what the size is of your football team. Of course, he wasn't talking about the guys that had 15, 18 kids. But he said, I don't care what the size of your football team is, numbers-wise. He said, if you can somehow figure out a way to two platoon, in the long run, you are going to win more football games every season, and your program will grow exponentially if you're able to do that. And I thought about it for a little while, and someone asked him to expand on some of that stuff, what he was talking about. And his deal was, well, when his first thing was injuries, right? So if you lose a guy to a season-ending injury, are you losing one starter or are you losing two? Okay. So the guys that go both ways across the board, they're losing two starters. He said, and the ability to grow your program, make it attractive for people to want to be a part of it. Well, if the same guys are always playing, 11 guys are offense and defense, and everybody else is sitting down watching the entire time, you're less likely to have more people trying to join the program because they go out there and see, well, it's just the same guys playing all the time. You can figure out a way to have 22 starters instead of 11 starters. It's more attractive for people to become a part of it, and more attractive for multi-sport athletes to want to be a part of football.
So they think they're to come in here and play.
That's correct. That's correct. Especially in this day and age that we live in now.
Yes.
So that was the first thing that he talked about. And the second thing he talked about, he said, if you ever lose a player to injury in practice, I think the exact phrase, you're an idiot. Now, what's funny about that story is, he would talk about, can't ever, get anybody hurt in practice. If they're going to get hurt, it has to be in the game situation, whatever.
They were smash mouth almost.
So
I'm sure he lost a few.
So many, many years later, I called Jerry Arledge, the longtime head coach at West Point. Right when I got the job, I called him. I said, look, you don't know who I am. My name's Dave Burlington, high school. I said, but Coach, I have a question for you. I said, I listened to Don Chow speak several years ago about it. And this is what he said. He said, you could never lose a player to injury in practice because you're going ones-on-ones. That's stupid if you do that. I said, so Coach, I just got it as a young coach, so you guys never went ones versus ones? You never went good on good? And he started laughing. He says, Coach, he said, there's the Don Chows, and then there's the Don Chows that spoke at Coach's Club. He said, I assure you, we had lots of ones versus ones and goods versus goods in practice situations. I said, I understand, Coach. I got it.
That son of a gun dotting that I didn't run a few dudes over and good on good.
Yeah, definitely.
But Coach, man, I really do.
Thank you for tuning in to Inside the Z, the Zachary Football Podcast. Don't forget, like and subscribe. New episodes out every Wednesday right here on YouTube.